Hi everyone, welcome back to the next diecast. In today's video I'll be doing an unboxing and a quick review of this 1/18 scale Ford Thunderbird show car made by Maisto. I got this model off of eBay for just over $38. I was actually very happy to get it for that price because this model was actually a promotional model that would have been given out either at the Detroit Auto Show or the Chicago Auto Show in 1999. And as you can see, this is a different style of box that Maisto usually uses. This has the Thunderbird logo on top and the inscription on the sides, and it's done in yellow. And you can see on the side here, you do have it officially licensed by Ford, ages 3 and up, and whatnot. And as you can see, the box does open from the side with these flaps here, so we'll go ahead and get that side opened up. And as you can see, the model is actually encased in this clear plastic. So we'll go ahead and pull that out from the box. And the model does also come with a removable hardtop as well as a tonneau cover. So here's the hardtop and the tonneau cover still inside the original bag, and there's even a little kind of instruction sheet in there on how to put the top on and remove it and what have you. So we'll take this out of the bag and then take kind of a closer look at it. As you can see, here's that tonneau cover and the hardtop with the portholes on the sides. And then you have the instruction manual with kind of a diagram of the process. There it is right there. All right, now to get the model out of the plastic. As you can see, it is kind of completely surrounded by it. There is a piece of tape that holds the plastic together on the top and the bottom. You can tell this was never actually removed from it before, so that's very cool. And it was kind of like opening up like a chest almost, the way it was hinged a little bit. It was kind of hard to pull out with one hand, as you can see here. But there's the model, the Thunderbird show car. Of course, you have the opening doors, the opening trunk. They're all actually very stiff, which is cool to see. And the opening hood. Next, we'll get into the quick review and as well as a demonstration of how the hardtop works on the model. All right, here's our 1/18 scale Thunderbird show car out of the box. As I mentioned earlier in the video, this was most likely given out at an auto show in 1999. Maisto first released this particular concept vehicle model as a like auto show sort of giveaway or like a promo. At the Detroit Auto Show in 1999, when this concept car debuted, there was a press kit given out to reporters who attended the show. And in that press kit, they had this 1/18 scale model with this box. There was like a folder that had like a CD-ROM of like different pictures of the car and stuff, and a few like press releases and whatnot. On portholeauthority.com, there is information about this model and like the release of it. I noticed that some boxes have like the date and the auto show that it was given out, and some don't. In the case of this one, it doesn't say which auto show or which date it was given out at, but it was likely either the Detroit Auto Show or maybe the Chicago Auto Show, which would have been later on in that same year. The second release of this model was actually a dealership promo. It came in a box pretty much the same size as this, only it was white and it said Thunderbird in black lettering. And then soon after that, Maisto released this model for, I guess, the general public. It came in a couple of different box styles. There was a Premier Edition and a Special Edition version. Now, the Premier Edition is pretty much the same thing as this model, where you had the removable hardtop and the tonneau cover included. The Special Edition version, you got the choice of either the Thunderbird with the hardtop on or the hardtop off. I'm not sure if the hardtop was removable on that version, and of course on the version that did not have the hardtop, you just did not get a hardtop. They were, I think, a little bit cheaper in price than the Premier Edition version, but in terms of overall detailing, they are very similar, aside from the fact that this one and the Premier Edition version, of course, have the hardtop that comes with the model. Now, there were actually two other Thunderbird concept cars that also came out in 1999. One of them was actually red, and it had pretty much the similar interior that as this one, but instead of yellow accents, you had like the red accents. And there was also a black version with a full red interior and chrome wheels. Maisto also made models of those two as well in both Premier Edition and Special Edition releases, and those other two also came with the hardtop. In terms of detailing, this is going to be very similar to the 2002 production Thunderbird that Maisto also made a model of. There's just some subtle differences throughout between the concept and the production version. So I will actually get out my Maisto 2002 Thunderbird to sort of show those differences once we sort of get into the review here. But first, we'll take a look at the overall details of this model here. I think Maisto did an excellent job with the overall look of this car. They really nailed the kind of pale yellow paint job that the concept came with. It's very well done for the most part. There is some orange peel here and there. Typical of 1990s Maisto models, you do see that in some areas. Maisto manufactured their 1/18 scale model of the Thunderbird show car, I believe, into the early 2000s. I think they sorted out some of the paint defects at that point, but if you get an earlier variant, in this case, this one is an earlier version of the model, you might have some paint, defects here and there, but they're impossible to see unless you look at it in direct lighting and everything. And the front end, I think Maisto overall did a great job. You can see with like the headlights and everything, and this center grille here, and also with the Thunderbird badge. It's very nicely kind of embossed on there with that paint. And this is actually a fully see-through grille too, done in a nice silver. And you have the separately cast parking lights down here too. Yeah, there is a kind of a large peg in each one, but I don't think that's a big deal. And the headlights are well done too. And yeah, there are pegs in each of those. They don't really align too well with the metalwork, but I think what they have there looks just fine. And nice quality of chrome on the windshield frame here too. And very sturdy side mirrors, although I have seen listings on eBay for the 2002 version of the Thunderbird model that Maisto made. And they tend to often have broken side mirrors. Not really too sure why that is, because at least on the concept version here, they are very sturdy. But if you saw my review and video on my 2002 Thunderbird model, the mirror actually did come loose in the box. So just be careful with that. I am actually very careful with this when I put it back, and it's kind of plastic wrapping before I put it back in the box, just for that reason. And they also did a great job with these wheels here. These are proper to the concept Thunderbird. Maisto actually recycled these wheels for their 2002 Thunderbird model. They're a little bit off in terms of the number of spokes. Like there were similar wheels offered on the production 2002 and 2003 T-Birds, but as far as the concept goes, there is a different number of spokes. I forget. I think one of them is 21 spoke, one of them is 24 spoke, but the concept has one of them. And they're nicely finished in silver, as you can see here. And Maisto actually does replicate the disc brakes behind the wheels. They're just kind of hard to see. And of course, you do have full steering and suspension. It's just kind of hard to show the suspension on this soft surface, I should say. But the steering is actually very good. And in the back here, of course, you do have the Thunderbird inscription on either side, nicely embossed on there in paint. And then on the back, of course, you do have the Thunderbird badge as well, which is replicated very nicely with this paint work here. And you have a nicely cast license plate frame back here. A little bit loose on my model, but I might be able to just take it out and put a little dab of glue to keep it in place. And nicely cast taillights back here too. Opening features, of course, you get the opening trunk back here. It's actually very stiff. I want to kind of keep it that way, so I'm not going to open it up too far. But same as the 02 Thunderbird and as that Beanstalk Thunderbird I reviewed, pretty much the identical, inside of the trunk. Decently cast, and you have a nice texture going on too. And then next we'll take a look at the engine detailing. The hood opens up like so. Pretty similar to the production Thunderbird's engine. It's the 3.9 liter V8, although on the concept, some of the features that are silver on the production version are not silver, like the V8 here, that is actually silver on the 2002 version, but on the concept it is not. But Maisto, I think, does a good job of kind of replicating this engine here, or at least what you can see of the engine. And you have a prop rod that'll hold up the hood in case it ever, starts to fall down. And of course, you also have opening doors on the model as well. And also similar to the 02 version that Maisto makes. Very nice detail in here overall. In the center stack, you will see that it is fully done in silver. That is proper to the concept vehicle. The buttons are not necessarily painted on, but at least they're kind of molded in there. So the 02 version that Maisto made is better in the sense that all the buttons are actually painted on. At least on here, they're in the right spots and everything. They just aren't, colored in or painted on, I should say. And the steering wheel has a nice texture to it with the Thunderbird badge in the middle. And you have a nice separately cast shifter there too. And Maisto also does a good job of the kind of leather texture you see on the dashboard. And there was a little Thunderbird inscription right there above the glove box. Very nice touch. Door panels were also very well done. You have kind of a few textures going on there. A nice kind of silver brushed aluminum look to this band going across the middle. And you have molded in window buttons too. Nice kind of leather pattern going across the black portion. And you have this red like reflector down there too. The seats are also well done for the most part. The headrests are actually not properly shaped. That's an issue that the O2 version that Maisto made has as well. But the rest of the seats, I think, look fairly well done. They have the proper shape to the bottoms and the backs. They were all black on the concept, and Maisto does replicate that on here. You actually do have a nice texture to them, too. And you do actually get seatbelts in here, too, which is nice to see. Back here, you do have this rear kind of storage shelf. The seats should actually be a little bit closer to the storage shelf than Maisto has them. It's almost like this is a back seat area, but it's not. This was a two-seater car. And the seatbelts actually should go through the seat and not be kind of behind the seat. But at least they replicate the seatbelts in general, I suppose. So overall, good detailing, I would say. So we'll take a look next at the removable hardtop that the model comes with. So with the model, you do get the hardtop and also a second tonneau cover or boot cover. So to put the hardtop on, you take off the this boot cover here, which actually does have a nice texture to it, like so. It just easily comes off like that. Then you put on this boot cover here, which actually has the two holes where the hardtop goes. So that fits in nicely like this. And then here's the hardtop here. It's fairly well done. It's actually plastic, but the paint matches perfectly with the body of the car. And you can see here that it's held on by pegs in the front and pegs in the back. So what I do to put the hardtop on is I kind of line it up with the front first, like with the windshield here. And then I just sort of match up the pegs with the holes in the back here, like so. And it does sort of take two hands to kind of hold the front in place as you kind of align the back pegs with the holes in the back. But once the hardtop's on there, it's actually very nicely aligned with like the metal body. It is cool that Maisto does include this feature, and you can always put this somewhere else, like store it. But looks good with both the hardtop on and the hardtop off. I've always liked the kind of porthole hardtop look of this Thunderbird here. But overall, I think Maisto did a good job with the detailing and everything. And I am very glad to find this kind of special auto show giveaway version of the model that I got for a pretty good price. So next, I guess we'll take a look and compare just the subtle differences between this and the 2002 version that Maisto made. All right, so next we'll compare the sort of looks and I guess maybe some of the details that you see on the Maisto Concept Thunderbird and the Maisto Production 2002 Thunderbird. There really isn't that many differences between the two models. Right off the bat, on the Concept, you don't have turn signals and a third brake light, but on the production version, you do. As you can see down here, here's the turn signal here, then back here, and then you have the third brake light back here. And this is true to the real to the real versions of both of these cars. And then the grills on the O2 version, it's a little bit more chrome. Whereas on the Concept version, it's sort of a more matte finish to like the silver that it has. I'm not really sure if that's actually accurate to the real cars or not. And the badging is also slightly different, but not by much. The badge on the O2 production version is a little bit longer, I think, in length, a little bit. And on the Concept version, it's a little bit more it's a little bit more narrow. Again, I'm sure that's just on like the models here, or if the real cars actually have those subtle differences there. And then of course, on the engines, they're really the same engine, but on, if I can get the O2 hood open here, there we go. Again, there's mostly differences in sort of like fine details. Like on the Concept, you don't have the painted silver V8 and the lines that are behind it there, but on the production version here, you actually do. I think that might be just like a Maisto thing. Like you see, even in the fronts, there's a little bit more silver detailing on the O2 than there is on the Concept version. Or it could have been a feature on both the real cars. But I'm not really too sure on that. But really, the details are pretty much the same. There might be a little bit better detailing on the production version model's engine than there is on the Concept version. But they're pretty much identical, aside from just a few minor, paint details here and there. Now, in terms of the hardtops, on Maisto's production O2 model, I don't think they intended it to be removable, but it actually is, and I do mention this in my review of it. It just kind of pulls off like this, and it is made of plastic similar to the Concept's hardtop. So we'll take this off too. You can see that they both have the same tonneau cover piece back here. This one, it does not come off, but on here, of course, it does, because you do have that additional, and it's actually kind of hard to take off a little bit too, but there we go. Because of course, on this model, you do have the additional boot cover that it does come with for displaying it with the top off. But now we can take a better look at the interiors. But before I get into that, a little differences with the sun visors. On the Concepts sun visors, you don't have the holes kind of drilled into it, but on the production models sun visors, you actually do. And that's because the models hardtops are a little bit different in construction. On the Concepts hardtop, the pegs in the front are very kind of short. On here, Maisto has the same pegs, so they have a very kind of small additional little nub on the end there to kind of hold it in place on the front portion here. But you can actually swap the hardtops on these models, which is actually kind of cool. So I'll get into that once I go over sort of the interior differences, which, again, there aren't too many. So same seats as would be on the production versions, but of course you have different kind of seat colors and seat options, I guess. On the O2 version here, it does have the optional red accent interior. This red accent interior would have been available on the black and the red versions of the real car. And on the yellow and blue versions, you had matching yellow and blue accents on the interiors as options, or you could get an all-black interior that this Concept has, like minus the yellow accents on here. But yeah, they're pretty similar in that sense. The door panel detailing, pretty much the same. There were no differences, I think, on both the models and on the real cars in those senses. And again, with the dashboard and the center console, on the production version, there's different, sort of button layouts, and they did not actually make the silver kind of brushed aluminum look that you saw on the Concept version. So here's the interior of the O2, and here's the interior of the Concept version. And Maisto, I think, really does accurately capture the differences that you would see on the real cars if you were to have them here too. Of course, they do a better job, I think, with overall detailing with the center stack on the O2. You see all the buttons are, painted on, and you can actually read a few of them. On here, these buttons are in the right spaces and everything. They just don't have like the paint detail on them, which isn't a big deal. This is from 1999, and Maisto really was kind of doing a much better job with their fine detailing in the early 2000s, as you can see here. And the steering wheel shapes are different. On the O2 version, you have this steering wheel, and on the Concept version, you have this steering wheel. So they do change in shape. Aside from that, like, those are pretty much all the differences of both of these models. So really it comes down to the fact, do you want the Concept model or the 2002 model? I guess it comes down to choice of, colors and whatnot. The overall details on both are pretty much the same. I mean, minus maybe a little bit better center stack detailing on Maisto's 2002 version when you compare that to the Concept version. But aside from that, it really comes down to, do you want the Concept model or the production model? Because you would have different colors and, I guess, styles for both. But yeah, I guess it was kind of cool to compare these. I know I mentioned about the Concept model in my video review of the O2 version here. But yeah, and you can actually switch the hardtops. So we'll do that right now. They just kind of rest on here. They don't really like fit into place too well. So we'll just put this on. And then yeah, so here's how they look with the hardtop switch. Kind of strange looking a little bit, but it is kind of cool that you can actually do that. Yeah, the black actually looks good with the yellow. The yellow with the black, not so much, but still cool to kind of experiment with that. I'll take this off and put that other tonneau cover back on. So overall, I am really glad to have this model. I wasn't planning on getting the Maisto Concept version, but I saw that they had this sort of auto show press kit model version of it for a really good price. And I thought, you know what, I like the Thunderbird from this generation or era, so I might as well get it for the collection. So I hope this little overview and review and unboxing, I guess, too, was helpful. And feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on the model here, or whether you prefer the Concept version or the production version of the final generation of the Thunderbird. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.